Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to my Sunday recovery chat. How are you all? I hope you're all well. I'm quite well, quite cold, so I've just made some coffee and this was a bit of a disaster this morning. I went through to make coffee earlier, just before our 9 AM power hour, using an AeroPress, and I had like 30 seconds to go through, plunge the thing, get back in time for the 9 AM start, flip the AeroPress over because I use the upside down method, and coffee went everywhere. It's like, So I cleaned that up, came through to set up for my live stream, moved my guitar off the desk, and there was cat sick on the desk. So I had to clean that up, and I went through to make this cup of coffee. This is number three. And I had forgotten to boil the kettle. So I poured lukewarm water into the AeroPress. So we're good though, we've got our coffee, and yeah, I'm glad about that because it's warming up my hands. My favourite Loafers mug. Loafers is my favourite coffee shop in Halifax. And Halifax is one of my favourite places in the UK, I have to say. It is such a gorgeous little town. I would actually like to live there. I go to Halifax every year, or at least I have for the past 2 years, except for last year because of lockdown. It's a group of guitar friends that I have. I met them on a forum called the acousticsoundboard.co.uk forum, and they're some of the most amazing people. I just love guitar people, I love musicians, I love getting together with them, sharing guitars, sharing music. Just it's a magical thing to do, it really is. In fact, let me just pick this one up right now, since it's a Sunday live chat with music. So yeah, Halifax is in Yorkshire for those that don't know, and the last time I went down I discovered this little coffee shop which is in the Peace Hall. Now the Peace Hall is a beautiful quadrangle, Halifax town, with shops around the four sides, some nice sculptures in the middle, and as a place to hang out is just, it's a beautiful place. And I found this shop called Loafers Vinyl and Coffee. Not a big place, but it's a coffee shop and a record shop. I mean, come on. I love records, I love books, so if you can put coffee and books together, or coffee and records, I'm there for that. So I kept going back there for more coffee, and what they do is they play a record of the day, and I think one day it was Joy Division. And that inspired me to buy a little card for my daughter, because one day, believe it or not, she went off to the mainland and she came back with a t-shirt. Yes, that t-shirt. The Joy Division one with the wave signs, Unknown Pleasures. I was like, I mean, bear in mind she was probably 14 at the time. I was like, wow, I am bringing this girl up right. But I think she discovered it through a movie, which is something to do with Simon. It's not Simon Says, but it's based on a book, and she made me read the book. I did listen to the audiobook and watch the movie with her, and the soundtrack in the movie was mainly Elliott Smith, but there was a Joy Division angle to it as well, which made me very happy. I do like a bit of Joy Division. I love New Order. I grew up listening to a lot of New Order. Blue Monday reminds me of the ice discos at the Magnum Leisure Centre, where I used to go with Claire. I think it was a Friday night they had the ice disco. And we would skate round and round, listening to New Order and The Cult. And last time I was there, which was, no, it wasn't the Magnum, it was the Saltcoats or the Stevenson, what's it called? The Adair Leisure Centre? No, it's not that. It's got the same name as the high school. No, it's not coming to me. It doesn't matter. There's a nice ice rink in Stevenson, which is on the mainland, just on the other side of the water, so it's like you just get off the ferry and you're pretty much there. And we went there. I've taken the kids there a few times. In fact, we took Freya there for one of her birthday parties, and she took a bunch of friends, and we had a great time. And they have a DJ at the side spinning records. Well, it's probably MP3s now, right? But when we were there, I went up and asked if he had Blue Monday by New Order, and he did, and I was like, this is amazing. So I got to skate round the ice rink with my daughter, holding hands and listening to New Order like I was 17. That was amazing. In fact, no, I was 15. I would have been 15. Back in those ice disco days. Oh, they were such fun. But there used to be a bit of a kind of clash between the Ayr and Prestwick people and the Irvine people, which is where the Magnum Leisure Centre was. So you had to be careful. I mean, it was all right if you were there with your girlfriend, which I usually was, but if you were there with your pals, you really had to watch out, because the Irvine crew, pretty rough bunch, you know what I mean? A few times we got chased back to the station. Growing up in Ayrshire was a little bit rough, I have to say. Made me streetwise, I suppose. Good morning. We've got Ruben here from Belgium. My good friend Ruben. He's obviously saying no to the coffee spill story, maybe, or the cat sick story. Not sure which one. Diane Merson-Jones, a fabulous fiddle player. I hope you're doing well, Diane, and you're getting to play some music. It's a rough time for musicians. And there's my friend Michael putting me in the picture. It is indeed Auchen Harvey. That's the ice rink that we go to, and it's great. Dave Hall, an old army friend, one of my biggest fans. It's lovely to see you, Dave. Thank you for showing up to my stream. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're getting to pick a few tunes. Stay tuned, because I'm planning to do just putting this out there as an accountability thing. I'm going to do a music stream tonight. So, yeah. Subscribe, get notification. You're cool, Dave. You're already subscribed. And Eric in Switzerland. Yeah, the cats. They're kind of a feature of my videos, I suppose. I pretend not to like them, but they're alright. And there's my good friend Esther, who's currently sitting in a power hour with the PTYE crew. The We Only Know What We Know. It's a little group of creators that's come around on the back of the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. Esther's monster. She's created a community that's just amazing for support. And we go in and we do power hours twice a day on Saturdays and Sundays. They're actually power double hours, because we do 9 till 11. And then we have some chit chat at the end where we help each other out with our growing businesses, and it's fun. Esther just waved. You're not on this stream, Esther. I could bring you in. That could be a thing. Never tried that before on this app. So yeah, Joy Division, New Order, ice skating, good times. Not sure who AP is, but whoever it is, they're in Cambridge, and welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining. Of course. I know who AP is. Thank you, Angus, for joining the stream. Lovely to see you. I hope you're doing well. Looking forward to cohort 2 of the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. So on Friday night, I was sitting playing my guitar on the sofa. Must have been around 11. And my daughter got out the bath and she came through and she sat down. I said, "What are you up to?" She said, "I just heard you playing guitar. I wanted to come through and listen." And I was like, "Oh." So this is why I'm in Dadgad right now. D-A-D-G-A-D for you guitar players out there. So we sat for a bit. I played some music, and at the time I was working on one of my favourite tunes, which is a Bert Jansch tune called Strolling Down the Highway. And what I was doing was I was augmenting it a little, embellishing it a little, putting some of me into it, because I learned it from tablature. I learned it exactly as it was written down from a book. And one of the things that has kind of bothered me a bit through my guitar playing career is that I have always learned tunes from tablature without really understanding what was going on, you know, in terms of theory and chord shapes and stuff. Which is fine, you know, you need to get your building blocks in place to learn how to play guitar. That's how you do it. You learn your favourite songs, right? But there came a time when I felt like I was not actually contributing anything. I wasn't putting any of me into the music. And so I think it's kind of changed a little bit now. Since I moved to Arran and I met Donal and we got to start playing music together. Donal's a fabulous fiddler. Great guitar player as well. I mean, for a fiddler, his guitar playing is like next level. And when he and I started playing together, it was really the first time I'd ever played with anybody else. Up until then, I'd always been sitting in my own room, learning from tablature, learning fingerstyle, fancy stuff. And so when I moved here and I started playing with Donal, it soon came to light that I didn't really know how to do that, even though my guitar playing was pretty good. Playing with other people was, you know, there's a conversation that happens, there's a kind of back and forth, there's a sensitivity, and listening is a key part of that, and I hadn't learned to listen properly. So this is a kind of long-winded way of telling you what happened on Friday night when Freya came through. So when I started playing with Donal, I started to learn how to do that, and obviously it's got better over time. And so when there have been occasions when I have arranged certain tunes that I like, and it feels very creative and it feels very rewarding and very satisfying. So that's what I was doing with the Bert Jansch tune. I was just relaxing into it. I was trying to use Michael Ashcroft's Alexander technique, which I'm learning about right now, using expanded awareness. And this came up in the conversation with my daughter, because she's learning French horn right now. Well, she's not learning it, she's actually really good at it. But she wants that to be her career, and she's really struggling right now because of lockdown. It's pretty horrendous for her. She's 16, shortly to be 17 this month. And she's in 5th year at high school. And she goes to high school in the mainland because they have a fantastic music department where she goes in Mulgai. And she joined the North Ayrshire Senior Concert Band, I think 2 years ago. She joined the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland Juniors 2 years ago. She's also in the West of Scotland Symphony Orchestra. And so she's playing a lot, or she was playing a lot, this is my point. And now, because there are no live things happening, there's no band practice, there's no hanging around with your friends, there's no classes where you're sitting with other musicians who are better than you, and that is just such a tragedy. It really is. But she's doing what she can, she's practicing well, and her teacher is really helping her in a very good way. And this is what gets me onto what my conversation was about there, because her teacher was talking to her about a piece that she was playing, and she said that the difference between a grade 7 merit and a grade 7 distinction is being able to put some of you into the music. And that's a difficult thing to teach someone how to do, because if you're nervous, if you're worrying about technique and mechanics and tone and making mistakes, it can be really hard to relax into the music. And this is my experience as well. I've experienced this almost every gig. And so what I've been learning about with Michael Ashcroft, it's kind of like a mindfulness technique, I suppose, in some ways, but there's more to it than that. And the example that he shows to teach this concept is the idea of Neo at the end of The Matrix, when he becomes the One. And that's a scene in that movie that has always resonated with me. It's that effortlessness when he's in the final fight scene with Agent Smith. Up until then, he's never been able to beat Agent Smith because he's trying too hard. Once he stops trying, it becomes effortless. And so the way that they film that, so that it looks like he's hardly moving, but you still get the sense that it's going so fast you can't even see it. That's what I'm talking about. So I have had moments on stage where I've got into that zone, and it's the best feeling in the world. You know, when you stop worrying about what people are going to think of you, making mistakes, being judged by your bandmates, because that's a thing, especially if you're playing with somebody who's better than you. And rather than thinking to yourself, well, I am just going to go into me and produce music that comes out of me and not worry about it. If you're worrying about it, you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be able to beat your Agent Smith. But once you relax, and this is what happens when I'm home, when I'm sitting in my living room and there's nobody listening. That's what I was doing on Friday night with the Bert Jansch tune. If you get into that zone, that's where the you starts to come out, and that's where creativity lives, right in that space. And it doesn't matter what people think, that's the key. If you can get into that zone where you stop caring what other people think about what you're producing, because, you know, even on fingerstyle guitar, you tend to think that if something's easy, then it's not worth sharing. And that's not the right mindset at all. Not at all. You can put music into one note, So my daughter's teacher was telling her that this is what she needs to learn how to do. And how she did that was she said, right, imagine as you're playing, imagine a scene, a movie scene, whatever, pictures in your mind. And once you've imagined the scene, then start to play the music and see how it changes. And she did that and it changed. It's such a good technique, it really is. As one which I will be trying to use myself. No, it's not one I'll be trying to use, it's one I will be using. I will be using that technique to share my music with nobody. Doesn't matter, you know what I mean? It's a bit like creating content, like what I'm doing right now. Sitting here, chatting onto camera, having turned on the camera with not much of an idea about what I was going to say, and just following the vibe. And hope that some of you like it, but honestly, that's not what's important to me. What's important to me is finding that creative space within me, showing up, forgetting about all the technical stuff, enjoying a nice cup of coffee, sitting with a guitar in my arms because it feels nice. I just love holding guitar. So when Freya came through to the room, she listened to some guitar and I showed her the Neo clip from The Matrix. And we got on to the topic of different tunings. And I explained why some people like to use different tunings, because I was showing her how an E minor chord, which is my favourite chord, it won't work right now because I'm in DADGAD, but it's a chord shape that Donal showed me. And the reason I love it is because it has no third. So for those of you who don't know music theory, which is probably most of you, a chord is made up of 3 notes. You've got the first note, which tells you what the chord is. So if you're playing an E chord, the first note is E. You've got the 5th, so that gives you the two edges of the chord. And then you've got the 3rd. So a major chord will have a 1, a 3 and a 5. So an E, F, G, A, B. Major chord will have those intervals. A minor chord will have a minor 3rd. So it's half step lower than a major chord. That's a bit technical, so for a Sunday morning. But the point is that the chord that Donal showed me, the E minor shape, had no 3rd. So it's what's called a power chord, and it makes the chord ambiguous. So if you're accompanying a melody, you can use that chord in a minor key or in a major key. It's mind-blowing, and Freya loved how it sounded, as do I. And I showed her how you can move it up and down the neck, and we got onto the topic of open strings, and then we got into the topic of DADGAD, because D-A-D is used a lot to accompany particularly Celtic music. It was discovered by a guy called Davy Graham, who used to travel a lot and gather up music from different parts of the world, and part of that was North Africa, Morocco, Algeria, places like that, where the style of music that they played was, it sat well on the guitar if you changed the tuning to DADGAD. So he's credited with discovering this tuning for that reason, in order to play North African music. But it just happens to sit really nicely for Scottish and Irish dance music and Irish airs and that sort of thing, because of the open strings and because of the fact that it's ambiguous. It gives you lots of places where you can play chords that sound different to your standard tuning chords. They have a bit more texture to them. They have, well, I suppose the fact that they just sound different is part of the appeal. So that's how we got onto DADGAD, and that's why my guitar is in DADGAD. So how are we doing for time? We're coming up to 25 minutes, so What I'm going to do is I'm going to play an arrangement that I came up with when I played with the Ceilidh Band, which I did for 2 years, maybe 3 years, I can't remember exactly, but I played regular music with a 5-piece Ceilidh Band here on Arran, and we used to do a lot of weddings, and we used to play in Fiddler's or Crofters restaurant in Brodick pretty much every week, and it was a cracking time. I really do miss that. Lockdown, eh? So yeah, we were doing a Hogmanay gig in the restaurant, and at the end of pretty much any Hogmanay gig, you're kind of expected to play Auld Lang Syne, right? So I came up with my own arrangement of it using Dadgad as the accompaniment. So I'm going to play that for you before I close out the stream. I could use a footstool of some sort. I'll struggle through. Let me put some reverb on this as well. Bear with, this will be worth it, I think. This one. This one? Yeah. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot for Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my Jo, for Auld Lang Syne. Take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. We twa here on about the braes and put the gowans fine. We've wandered mony a weary fit since Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, my Jo, for Auld Lang Syne. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. Twa here on about the braes and put the gowans fine. We've wandered mony a weary fit since Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, my Jo, for Auld Lang Syne. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. Thank you, Nick. Nice to see you on the stream, my friend from Luxembourg. You just mute that. There, effects are off. Lovely to see you, Nick. Thanks for joining. Ruben's enjoying the Dadgad. Ruben plays guitar too. I haven't heard much of his playing. I really would like to. Maybe someday we'll get together IRL and have a jam. Nick plays too. Nick's got a lovely Lakewood M32. Spruce and Rosewood, beautiful guitar. So it's time to wind this down, start to go and enjoy my Sunday. I wish you all a very good Sunday as well, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing. I hope you have a wonderful day, manage to find some inner peace and serenity. Remember, you're not alone. See you later.